Okay, so if you're somebody that suffers from bloating, I'm going to talk the three main areas: your nutrition, your supplements, and your training, that you probably need to address if you're having a problem with bloating. I've had a lot of feedback on this from my Snapchat recently, so BrianK019 on my Snapchat. Mostly females, but guys suffer from this as well. I'm somebody that suffered with bloating and stomach problems in the past. If you haven't checked out my podcast episode on IBS, leaky gut, and stomach problems, which is one of my most downloaded podcast episodes, definitely check that out. I got so much feedback and emails from people who've applied the systems that I talked about in that episode that have helped. So this is a bit of an expansion on that and things to look out for. So the number one above everything else is going to be your nutrition. There's no supplement or training program on the planet that's going to help with your bloating long term if you haven't got your nutrition on point. The main thing that I see in the problems that people have is eating foods that they're either allergic or intolerant to. So the high trigger foods are like wheat, dairy, sugar for some people. Avoiding or minimizing these foods is going to massively help with your body's ability to not get bloated after every single meal. If you're intolerant to, say, wheat and you're eating it 2 or 3 times a day, your stomach is going to respond by swelling after each meal. And what can happen is it may not swell directly after that food. It may be the next meal you have 2 or 3 hours later, and then your stomach swells because of the reactive and the digestive process of that food going through your digestive system. That when you have a salad 3 hours later, your stomach swells because of the salad, but it was the bread you ate 3 hours earlier. So finding these foods, particularly people with IBS and leaky gut and long-term stomach problems, any of these foods, by all means, you can factor them in and minimize them. But if you have an intolerance or an allergy, you're probably going to be better to build your nutrition around other foods that don't swell your stomach, and then have these sparingly in the knowledge that they're probably going to swell your stomach a little bit, even though there's certain supplements you can take that can minimize it, and I'll talk about that later in the video. But I would advise minimizing these foods. And then the other thing is your processed foods and processed ingredients. What happens with processed foods is a lot of the vitamins, minerals, and all the good ingredients of the actual whole food have been removed and replaced with preservatives and additives to give food a longer shelf life. That's why processed food, you look at the back of the label and it might be fucking 2 years before it goes off, even though it's, you know, a bag of rice that should effectively go off in 2 or 3 months otherwise. So, and that's what can happen because they're added to the food to give it a longer shelf life. Food wasn't meant to sit on a shelf, it was meant to go off, and that's what happens with processed food. It expands the lifeline of that food. So you want to make sure that when you're eating those highly processed foods, just be aware of what's happening to your body in terms of a reactive state and the bloating. Because those additives, those preservatives, those emulsifiers, all those things that have been added to the processed food, your body and digestive system is not familiar with those things, and as a result can have a hyperreactive state, which is a result basically swelling or bloating in your stomach. So that's one thing that can affect it. 2, with processed foods, you have to eat significantly more of it to get the same amount of energy that you would if you ate the real food, which as a result can lead to excess bloating in the stomach. So for example, if you ate 50 grams of rice, brown rice that was organic, normal brown rice, you had to eat 2 or 3 of the microwave bags equivalent just to get the same satiation and the same fullness that the real food would have given you. So now not only have you added the emulsifiers, the preservatives, and the additives to your stomach, which could send you into a reactive state and swell your stomach, you're also eating 3 times the amount of calories, 3 times the amount of food that your body has to digest, even though it's not digesting as efficiently. And that can lead to swelling in the stomach because you're eating more carbs, you're eating more calories, and you're adding these shitty ingredients to the food and that you're consuming. So the main tip for anybody across the board who suffers from bloating, and I've had people come through my top 50 program who have had IBS, PCOS, leaky gut, fibromyalgia, lots of different issues that have more or less fixed 75-80% by nutrition. Because when you cut out these foods and you cut out these ingredients and you stop taking in these really poorly processed ingredients from food, all of these symptoms and all the effects of PCOS, fibromyalgia, IBS, and leaky gut can disappear, you know, over a period of time, over 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, because your body has more energy. It's using the calories from the real food to give you more energy. Now, as a result, you have a higher training output, which can positively affect hormones and all of these positives that come with it. So my main advice would be to cut out those processed ingredients. From the supplement side then, there's a couple of things you can do. If you're somebody with IBS, definitely check out that podcast episode because it's going to be about healing the intestinal wall. Leaky gut syndrome is effectively where the food particles slip out through the intestine and send your body into a reactive state, and as a result you get swelling as that inflammation comes out through your stomach. For somebody that just gets bloating after meals, a strong probiotic is going to work incredibly well. Anyone that's been following me a while, you know I have a history of stomach problems, and I consume a really strong probiotic every single morning because it just hedges my bets even when my nutrition is good, and can reduce bloating in your stomach. I use the Extra Strength Super 8 one. Renew Life have a great brand probiotic as well, but find the one that works best for you. Probiotics are one of the actual supplements that I tell people not to cheap out on. Omega-3s and probiotics. Everything else is kind of up for debate, but in my opinion, omega-3 and probiotics are the two supplements you should not cheap out on, because you will get what you pay for in terms of those two supplements. So get yourself a good Extra Strength probiotic and have it at least once a day, and then after that, the different things like glutamine that can heal your intestinal wall, peppermint oil that can help reduce bloating to improve digestion, all of these things can help. And then after that's going to be your training program. I have personally found working for tension style training, where you're utilizing and tearing fibers to elevate your metabolism, can actually improve your digestive system and improve the digestion of food, because the food isn't sticking in your stomach because you've only had a light training session. I know myself, when I do deload weeks, by the end of a deload week, when I'm only kind of moving weight and I'm pressing and working for a little bit of tension, my stomach doesn't digest its meals as well, because I haven't torn those fibers and the food hasn't needed to do another job, and it ends up sitting in my stomach. So I find when you work for a higher intensity, you work for more tension, the food you eat tends to digest better, and that can speed and reduce any amount of bloating that you have in your stomach. That one's more personal, as opposed to any science that backs it up. That's what I found has supported me. It's why I'm sharing it in the video. But the main thing is going to be your nutrition, and then strong probiotic and good supplements, and then tailoring your training program around digesting your meals better. So hopefully this video helps. If you're somebody that struggles with bloating, or you know somebody that benefits from this video, just tag them below. And if you have any comments, I'm going to be replying on Facebook for the next 24 hours. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.